Hey guys, welcome to Christ Curls and Conversations. We are here today with Chris Altamirano out in Fresno, California. I met this guy maybe about 5 or so years ago, I would say. Really cool dude, very blunt, very raw, straight to the point, and very direct about a lot of conversation starters. And I was just like, let's get this dude on because he has been posting a lot of stuff on Instagram about just real life matters. I saw that he was like unfollowing certain people that he shouldn't be following. And I was I was just like very excited to see that type of stuff of you just unfollowing certain women that you were just following because they were attractive. And basically that is what we are getting into on this interview or just conversation today is women posting up photos that are like more of like nudity or just showing all their skin. And then also men as well. I know we touched briefly about men in a conversation, and I just want you to go ham on that conversation. What, for one, gave you the idea to just unfollow certain accounts?
Wow, thank you for the intro. I feel like I just walked out of on like the Tonight Show or something.
I love it.
No, honestly, for me, it was it started. I want to say maybe a year ago. I think it started. Yeah, I think it started a year ago. I just started to realize like what I was like consuming my time with, but I couldn't quite like let it go, right? And I realized very quickly that like all of the like I was basically feeding the vanity that I hated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not into like pretentious women who are very self-absorbed, but yet like that's like what was catching my eye. And like I'm big on technology, and I realized that like our phones, these things are designed to give you micro dopamine hits on a daily basis to get you to kind of consume everything.
Yeah.
And now pair that with obviously like the iPhones are always advertising like 1 billion pixels in this iPhone, right? So it's like it's there, right? I even have this little setting on my phone where if I click it 3 times, 1 2 3, it turns black and white, so that I can like browse my phone in black and white so that I'm not getting hit with all those colors. So like I do that on purpose to like make my phone boring, right? Like on purpose.
Right.
But with the women, it just like pair like all those like colors and all those pixels with like the women.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just you have like just the ultimate like soul sucking machine.
Yeah.
Right.
Super lustful.
And yeah, and so I realized that like where I wanted to go in my life was like I want a wife, like I want to be married, I want kids. I'm still very selfish. I'll be 100% upfront with that. I still want to travel the world and do what I want to do, but I realized that like I can't just like keep directing my energy and my focus towards women who, one, don't know who I am, two, this is just like I think about it sometimes, like what do they wake up like when they wake up in the morning, like they're just like, oh, look at all these guys, like are they fulfilled? Like so I started like looking at them as like humans. I'm like why are they doing this? I started asking questions, and I realized that like I needed to unfollow all these chicks. Like I'd already invested years of my life double tapping on all these chicks' photos, right? Sometimes liking like 2 or 3 or 4 photos just to hopefully like maybe one of them would notice me, right?
Wow.
And then I would be like, dude, this is fucking stupid. Like this is like really fucking stupid. Like what am I doing? I'm literally like feeding into these girls' vanity,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like depleting my energy on them,
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I looked at it from that perspective, and I was like, and then obviously fast forward a year, and that's when I decided to not only just unfollow all these women, but just to clear out my social media in general, and like just unfollow people who I felt like, and this is kind of side topic, but I felt like, yeah, like you ever have somebody ask you, hey, like what's your Instagram? And you're like, oh, it's this, right? And then like you guys are right next to each other, and then like they follow you, and then you don't follow them.
Oh yeah. Been
Yeah.
there.
I always felt like the natural law of reciprocity kick in, where I felt like if somebody's doing something nice for me, then I owe them the follow back.
Right.
And so I finally like put my foot down and decided to have some self-respect and say like, hey, like I think you're cool, but like I'm not gonna go and like if I don't like what you're posting or who you are, like or who you're trying to be, or like what you're trying to project out there, like I want nothing to do with you. So I
Wow.
mean, but that all started with unfollowing women.
Mm. I love that. I love everything that you just said, especially with that last part, because I've been caught in that, like, oh, I've got to follow them back, if especially if we're in person, because I don't know, it's gonna feel awkward if I don't. But really, like, if I see their page and they are not adding any value to anything that I want to learn, there's no point for me to follow you. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can follow me if you want. Like, I'm adding value, and if you want to if you want to learn about that stuff, you totally can. I'm not saying you
Yeah.
have to follow me, but with the women, it all started with you with women. So is this something, like, do you think that you had, I mean, this is for a lot of people, like, it's not just men, women are following certain women as well, and they're admired by these women's bodies because of how they look.
Yeah.
And but do you think that these women that are in these photos even have this sense of worthiness inside them, or are they just looking for attention?
I think it's both. I think there's women out there that are very confident. They love their bodies. They are, some of them may be virgins, right? Some of them may only have been with one or two men, and they're really not as most people would probably perceive them and call them like a hoe or like whatever, right? Like, or modern terms like a thought, like they're like legit. There are women out there who are really really good people
Mhm,
who just so happen to have amazing physical features and they are on display,
for sure.
right? And like legit. But I can't say that like a majority of women are like that. I think a
Right.
majority are addicted to attention,
Hmm.
and and I used to be the customer,
Wow.
you know,
I like.
and I like and like equally as like these women are like filling the voids that like men like me have, right? And so we fill it with like just these lustful thoughts and desires. Like these women are also like getting their void filled. So it's like a mutual transaction happening online on a daily basis. It's like they're like, I don't enjoy myself, so I need other people to validate me. And men are out here like, damn, I just want a girl like that to give me attention.
Wow. Wow. And then, okay,
Yeah.
so say for instance, yeah, that's really good. I totally agree. So say
I
for,
think there's good girls on both ends.
yeah, I completely agree. And there have been women that I have met in person who do flaunt their body online, and I'm like, wow, you act so differently in person than the way that you project yourself online. And I'm not saying like which one I like better. It's not about that. It's just I love this version of you in person
Yeah.
than just seeing your body parts online, you know?
Listen.
Um, but in terms of women who have boyfriends or husbands and they're still flaunting themselves online, what is your thoughts on that?
Oh man, women who are in a relationship, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in a relationship like that, and it's just it's the fucking work. You feel like I mean like there's so many quotes online now. It's like quotes are almost like quotes used to mean something, and now quotes are just like it's just like
They just don't.
they just don't anymore, right? Like they're just thrown out there so much. But one of the one of the quotes I heard, one
Yeah,
of,
right. How
yeah,
ironic.
yeah, one of the quotes I heard, it said like or I read, it said something like if or it said like I won't control you, like your actions will tell me how much you respect the relationship.
Ooh,
I'll
okay.
never like I'll never tell you what to do. You know,
Your
you do
actions
whatever
will
you
tell
want. Like you do whatever you want, and then like based off whatever you do, that's gonna tell me how much you actually value the relationship, right?
me.
Um, and so I think that you know having been in a relationship like that in the past, and seeing or experiencing like how that made me feel, which was like is my attention not good enough?
Wow.
You know, I think that there are a lot of I think there's a lot of people out there in general who just are taking pictures to portray a certain level of happiness, and then when it comes to like the in-person intimacy, it's just absent and it doesn't exist.
Wow.
Like
That,
I really think it doesn't exist for a lot of people. And I've even read like some papers, not papers, everything's online, but yeah, some articles that also even suggest that like people who aren't sharing as much on social media actually have like really great relationships, but the people that are like constantly needing to like take selfies and pictures and post how happy they are, paragraph long caption, so they'll post like they'll post all the paragraphs of how much they care about their partner, but then they won't actually express those words, you
mm,
know, to like it like they won't even actually express those words to them, right?
right. Yeah.
Like I remember one time, the girl that I was with, like she, like we like just got in a fight, like an argument, like full blown argument, and then she went and posted a selfie of us on Instagram. Kid you not, this is years ago, right?
Mhm.
How much she loved me, all this other stuff, and then I remember seeing it like an hour later, and I was like, "Are you serious?
Wow.
Are you serious?" Like everybody has like a different way of expressing themselves, but like I feel like we've kind of taken it too far. Is that a dog?
Yeah, give me a
Um,
second. All right. I think it's very interesting what you were just saying about how like you'll get in a fight or you got in a fight and then but she went to post like nothing was wrong and then you're like,
had
are
to
you
main,
serious?
yeah, like had to maintain the facade, you know.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of people are today. Again, and I know we're talking about women, but I think it's men and women. It's both, you know.
Yeah.
Like we kind of talked about it in the chat a little bit. I say that like for every woman that posts her body, a guy posts a car he doesn't own, or a guy posts a watch he doesn't own, or a guy posts or flaunts a lifestyle that is fake.
Wow.
Um, I mean, I've actually even met people who will literally travel, and you know me, I love traveling, right? But I don't like, I'm not on a constant quest to like drip feed content on my Instagram to make it seem like I'm doing something that I'm not,
Right.
right? And
Hmm.
I know people, I've met people who travel for at least a month just to get pictures. Then they're done traveling for a month, but they'll drip the content like they're still abroad.
Wow.
And I've seen it more in like, I mean, I've met one chick like that, and I've met one dude like that.
Wow, that's so interesting. So in a sense, like their whole following thinks that they're in these places and they're like, how are you doing this? When really they're not.
Yeah,
They've just went traveling for a month and then they drip it through.
yeah. They just like went to Bali for a month or taking all these pictures, and I think the worst thing is too is like it, it's like people are trying to bank off being fake, dude. And like 2010 was like the decade of fake entrepreneurs, plastic personalities,
Wow.
right? Like that
That's,
was 2010.
yeah.
Fake like fake entrepreneurs and plastic personalities. And now we're moving into the I don't know how to say it. We're moving into like the decade of like authenticity and the decade of exposing people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Being
then
truthful about matters that need to be hit on.
yeah, like we're like people are gonna get exposed this decade, like
Yeah.
facts.
I
Like
love
it,
that. It
yeah, like
needs to
I
be.
even read another quote that said, like, I see you, it said something like, I know what you post online, but don't forget that I know you in real life.
Ooh, ooh,
Right?
it's a good one. It's so true because it's like, how
It's
are you
facts, dude.
actually, yeah, how are you actually living in your real life? Are you the same on
Yeah.
Instagram to your real life? Like, are you better than your Instagram? Like, it would be awesome if you were even better, you know? But like there's some people, like we've already stated, that are just flaunting this image that's totally not them, but everybody else is like fiending over this person of who they are online when they aren't even that. And I'm sure they're looking for that attention and they love that attention because they don't receive it in real life. And yeah, it's very fascinating. I'd love you to touch on more of the men side because I actually, you're probably the first person that I've heard talk about it in that way where it's like they're posting the cars and the money and all that type of stuff. And I've seen it, but I've never actually heard someone express it where it's like they're looking for the attention or that as well. So
Yeah.
could you talk to that?
I think a lot of guys that are in that place right now weren't the cool guys in high school.
Okay.
And so I think there's like a lot that they're like making up for. Like they like and not all of them, right? Like I think there's some dudes who were very likable people, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I think a lot of dudes are just suffering from like little man syndrome.
A little bit.
Right?
Okay.
No, like legit. Like I don't know if you ever played drinking games, like King's Cup. They're like put the little man on the cup and take the little
Oh,
man.
yes,
And
yes.
you have like a little rule, like that's them, bro. Like they're putting themselves on the cup, you know.
Wow, that
And
is
like this decade is like taking them off the cup, right? Because they're
wow.
putting themselves like on this cup that because it gives them like a sense of significance. Like they're like, and like I follow this one page and like I would recommend everybody follow it if they want to see like basically these like entrepreneurs getting exposed. It's called Baller Busters,
Wow.
and it's
Check
like
that
the
one out.
best page. It's so gratifying to guys like me who actually are like trying to build a business and aren't just trying to like sell a shitty info product, right?
Mhm. Right.
Um, you know, because I've traveled all over the world and like I could have like invested in a nice camera, taken all these super exotic photos and built up this like image of myself or branding, but I
Mhm.
would have just like felt shitty inside, you know. And so I don't know how a lot of people live like that, but I think a lot of these men, again, they suffer from the little man syndrome, and they don't feel significant if they aren't like making money or if they aren't with women or if they aren't with the cars and stuff. And I get it. Like I think there's a fine, and not to say that that's bad. Look, if you are attracting women, dope. If you got nice cars, dope. If you live a great lifestyle, dope. Like I aspire to have some of those things, but if that stuff owns you, then you're losing.
Mm,
Because if it goes away and you know, due to getting exposed, it's like you're gonna be very, very unhappy. Like
yeah.
very unhappy. And and so I think for a lot of the men out there, they're searching for significance in other areas because they think that that's where they're gonna find it.
Mhm.
And I mean that's just the way that I see it. And they haven't found those things in their lives that maybe they're grateful for or whatever. And again, like and we're kind of living in this like new like I follow some different accounts on Twitter that talk a lot about like being like an alpha male. And I'm noticing that a lot of these things have to do with like more of dominance
Mm,
and and um and leadership, and that's good. And those are like dominance is necessary here and there, and leadership is a quality. Um, but it's not something that I just feel like a lot of people are getting caught up in it.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you're not driving a Rari, then like you're not successful. If
Right.
you're not on a private jet, then yo, you fucking suck. No,
Right.
like
And
legit.
yeah, and I totally see that. And the thing is that like I've what I've noticed is that men are trying to attract women through that type of stuff, but sometimes that's going to attract another false image of a woman that
Oh,
is
100%.
only leading to like wanting your money or wanting your car, but nothing about who you are in general, but just the success that you have. And I mean, in my opinion, my beliefs, I feel like it's like what's inside. Of course, I mean, it would be great if you looked a certain way that I wanted you to look, but it's really about the mentality and if you guys can communicate and have a conversation. But it's like they're feeding into this like trauma wound that they have for each other, and then when all of that is gone, they're also gone from each other's lives.
Well, that's the thing is people want to be like you're coming from the intention of like getting to know somebody. Most
Right.
people don't come from that place.
Yeah,
Most people want to be noticed. They don't want to be seen.
I like that. It's true.
They're just like, hey, notice me. Like, yo, look what I got. No, notice me. Did you notice me? Right. But then I'm just like, yo, like so, like, who are you?
Who are you? What about you?
And they're just like, yo, it's not that serious. Why do you ask so many questions?
Oh yeah.
Or I've been on dates with women, and they're just like, you ask a lot of questions.
It's like, yeah, I'm trying to get to know you, but really they just want you to look at who they are on the outside.
Yeah, they just want me to look at them and talk about stupid shit, drink alcohol and just get
It's
drunk.
like,
And
what does
then,
this matter?
and that's the thing is like, but the thing is like, I used to be in that place
Mm-hmm.
where I was just numb to it all too. And so, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, you
So,
just can't help people.
exactly. So what was the thing that you feel like pulled you out of that perspective?
Um, I think it's kind of like I would say I'm not big on roller coasters. I actually hate roller coasters. Right? One
Okay.
thing you should know about me.
I don't think I ever knew that.
Yeah, I don't mess with roller coasters. But if you ask somebody, right, like, hey, dude, we're gonna go to a theme park, right? And but you only get to ride one ride. And they're like, what? Like, yeah, dude, I want that one. The biggest ride, I want that one.
Right.
Dude, I could ride that all day. All right, cool. They go, they ride the ride. First time's dope, second time's dope, third time's dope, amazing, right? Go get some food, take a break. And then you go back to them, all right, man, hey, let's get back on the ride. And they're just like, I don't know, man. Like, we already been on it 3 times. Like, come on, dude, it's 4th time. Like, this is the only ride we can get on. And you go on it 4th time, 5th time, 6th time. Eventually, you're gonna get tired of the ride.
Mm.
Eventually, the ride's not exciting. The swoops, the dips, you know what to expect. Like, life becomes exciting in the unknown. Life doesn't become exciting in the known.
Mm.
Like, if I told you right now what was gonna happen with the rest of your life right now, would you want to know?
No.
No, nobody would want to know, right? And
Not,
so that's the place that I was in. Is like, I'd been on the ride so many times that I already knew what to expect. I knew that if I went out, got a haircut, got dressed, went out, drank a little alcohol, I might meet a girl, might take her home. And that's good. In the moment, that's fine, right? You bumping uglies, right? Like you hook up and like hookup culture, right? Like, and then that's that. But the feeling in the beginning of that ride is great. From a young man's perspective, it's like, oh, I got some, man, like, dope. Yeah, hey, I can brag to my friends, we can talk about it, whatever. I protect her identity. I don't have to say her name, but I'm like, yeah, oh, who's that chick? Whatever, right? All
mm-hmm.
the locker room talk, the banter.
Right.
But eventually it becomes extremely empty.
Mm.
And the emptier it becomes, the more you need to numb.
Wow.
The more you need to drink to forget it.
Mm-hmm.
To where you're having sex and like you're not even feeling anything. You're
Mm-hmm.
just literally going through like, do it. And so I realized very quickly that like all of this, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, I realized very quickly that all of that just became so numb. And I already knew what to expect from the cycle. I already knew how the ride was going to start, what it was going to be like in between, what it was going to end like. And then lastly, what I was going to feel like at the end. Would I feel shame? Would I feel regret? Would I feel like, you know?
Wow.
So you start to notice those things if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And most men don't want to because they're afraid of what their friends are going to think. They're going to think they're a little bitch, they're pussy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or they're or damn, bro, why you acting so gay? Why you acting so gay?
Right.
Bro,
Yeah.
she's right there. Like, just what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And most men expect you to hit it,
Just to
basically.
do
If
that. Yeah.
there, like, she wants you might as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like what you said about the
And,
cycle.
and just one more thing. A lot of dudes that I talk to, some of my friends, they want to have kids. They want to be married. They're just not ready to be men yet. They're not ready to be husbands.
Right. But when
You know what
will
I'm
you?
saying?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, but what I said was like, when will you be ready to like like a man, basically, like put the little, I mean, not to like put them on blast or anything, but to put the little boy stuff down and grow up and actually say like, I want a wife and I want to have children and I can't continue doing these things, all the things of when I was a boy, or like just immature, like become mature and grow up. And you're not going to find that, like, I mean, for one, you need to get around certain people. you know, like I feel like a lot of times we need accountability with that type of stuff, but also it's like, what do you actually want? And you really need to make that decision whether your friends choose to do it or not. And if you need to take a back seat from hanging out with some of your friends, then you need to do that.
It's facts. No, I agree. And you said it right there. You said you need to um, you know, hang around other people. I would say the opposite. I would say just get away from who you're around already. You don't have to hang out with anybody. Hang out with your mom, hang out with your dad. Like go get a dog. Like no, like legit, like get a dog, right? Like go live by yourself. Like go live by yourself. Like
Yeah, for sure.
it's very simple. But the thing, and I'll wrap this back into like IG and stuff. A lot of dudes, they they want a lot of dudes think that like just because you have a kid means that you're like gonna become a man. Nah, man, it just means you got sperm. Like that's it. That's all that means. Like we had sperm. I don't know. I probably hit puberty when I was like 12 or 13, right?
Right.
Like fuck, I could have went and had sex with somebody and you know had a kid at 13. Does that make me a man? No, it just means I have the biological DNA to procreate another human. It doesn't make me a man. And I think some people think that like once they hit that point, they're like, all right, cool, now I can change, right? Or like, dude, just because you put a ring on a woman's finger doesn't make you a husband.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't make you a husband. Like
Right.
like your training to get up to that point starts before you even meet her.
Amen. That's so
You
good.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so a lot of dudes who are peacocking essentially on Instagram, and just call it for what it is. It's a peacocking. That's what birds do in the wild. Like the men put on these grand shows, right? All the bright feathers show. You know, if we want to mirror that with how that applies to humans, the big bright feathers on birds are just the nice clothes, nice cars, and watches on men,
Mm-hmm.
right? But women do the same exact thing. Women peacock, big tits, big ass, beautiful face, lip injections, certain angles. How many times have you ever seen a girl post on IG and her caption says, "This lighting is so good,"
Oh, yeah, and it's really just
right?
your body. And it's like,
No,
what?
no, the like, oh, this lighting is amazing. Like, yeah, okay, for sure, you look beautiful, but like, okay,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
but for the men, I can only speak on men as a man. If and Tony Robbins said this, he's like, if you want the man to appear, you got to heal the boy. Well,
Mm.
that's Tony Robbins. And same thing for women. If you want the woman to show up, you got to heal the little girl. Whatever that means for you, whatever those traumatic experiences were that happened, you got to go and handle that. Otherwise, you're just going to bring that to the next relationship,
Yeah,
right? Because you always got to take you with you. And unless you heal you, you're going to bring you.
that's really good. I
Like,
love that a lot.
you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, if
Gotta
that
heal
means
that little girl and little boy.
yeah, because that, that's what the drama is, right? Like life's like this big drama and everybody loves wearing a mask and
Mhm.
everybody loves switching the masks accordingly. But the thing is, it's like eventually like you can take the mask off. Like you don't have to try to front or be a certain way. Like you could just be yourself really, and like the right people will like you. But the thing is people want the wrong people to like them.
Exactly.
They're not concerned with the quality of the people, they're concerned with the quantity, and that's where it's fucked up. That's where
Mhm.
and we talked about this as well. That's where I and this sucks to say it, but we're living through a new age of Hollywood, of celebrityism. We're living through that. And if there's one thing that Hollywood's taught us is that there are drug overdoses, there are suicides, right?
Mhm.
And there are things that people say, like I think it was that Logan Paul guy who recorded, he's like a famous YouTuber, and he was like the first guy that really kind of got like the public scrutiny, right? Lost a lot of, yeah, so he's like the first influencer that kind of got a lot of public scrutiny because he does like memes and all this stuff and like just all this jokester stuff, right? And he went to this forest out in like Japan or something where a lot of people actually go to kill themselves. It's called like suicide forest.
Oh
And so
wow.
he's out there and they're like pretending to like be funny and stuff. And they actually recorded a dude who went like either that day or that week and he was hanging from a tree.
Oh my gosh.
They recorded it and they posted it. right? So obviously you got a lot of public scrutiny from that, right?
Wow, that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we're living through that age where, again, like we're gonna see, because we haven't seen it yet. A lot of these influencers that have come up are still in their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't seen like those, like we haven't seen like the Tupacs die, right?
Right.
Like we haven't seen that happen yet. But we're gonna see some influencers who commit suicide. We're gonna see influencers who go and do drug overdoses, who maybe even go and hurt other people,
Mm-hmm.
or who do some really outlandish shit and get arrested and it blows up. And we haven't seen that yet. And the thing that sucks about that is these dudes are leading by example the younger generation of kids, and
Yeah.
they're not taking their platform seriously. They think everything's a fucking joke. I'm all about having fun and games, right? But at the same time, like, dude, when you have that platform and you weren't given the platform, you built it, right? Like you built it, like respect, right? It's not like Interscope Records put you on. Like, no,
Right.
you built the SoundCloud yourself. You put the work in, respect. But you have a big responsibility, like a huge responsibility to lead a certain way. And sometimes these dudes have the platforms, and I think a lot of people equate this. They equate follower count with bank account. You can't deposit likes. You can't deposit views into your bank account. And a lot of people start to feel the need to like, man, if I have 10,000 followers, but I'm not making 10K a month, then I gotta,
Yeah.
man, I might need to like pretend that like I live a certain way so that it kind of matches like the follower count.
Oh yeah,
Right?
totally.
And so I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of men feel pressure to kind of like put that front out there.
Mm-hmm. That's
Um,
really
yeah,
good.
it's a lot. It's broad.
It's really good you brought up how we're basically living like they are stars, like Instagram stars or YouTube stars, and that's basically like the second Hollywood, or maybe it's the new Hollywood that's going to take over, because Hollywood's going down right now. But that's a totally separate conversation. Um, but even when you were talking about follower count to bank account, like, I mean, I used to have like, I think like 17,000 followers, totally was not making the equivalent of that at all, you know? And we do see that like that to a certain extent, or like they're on a higher pedestal. But now that I've already been there, I'm like, nah, like I know that they're not even making that at all. They're just putting stuff out to make it seem like they could be, but they're really not. Um, the next question I wanted to ask you is, you were talking about how these people are representing, in a sense, or growing up the next generation. And
Yeah.
what do you think is going to be the effects of children from looking up to these people?
Um, I mean, look, everybody's got free will, right? But obviously, your environment and the type of media that you consume is going to influence your behavior, right? It's going to have some sort of effect, whether you want to believe it or not. It is what it is. It's why you and I speak English, because we grew up in the United States with parents who spoke English.
Right.
Like, whether we wanted to learn English or not, it's just what we learned, right?
Yeah.
So there's external sources and things that are going to influence our behaviors. And I think depending on like what these kids are watching, who they're following, they're going to have a certain idea of what life is like. And you and I both know, having been around certain people, that everything that comes through this screen right here, for the most part, is just one big, it's probably been photoshopped, cut in iMovie, cut in Final Cut, probably some music dubbed over it, some cool cut. It's just like, it's not real.
Right.
It's just an illusion,
Mhm.
right? And I think the biggest thing that now I'll tie this back to the women, but I think the thing that we're not seeing the effect on is like the effect of like bullying on kids, because like what's that going to be, or maybe that this is going to be a new norm, and I would hate for this to be a norm. It might be, right? um but maybe there's going to be some kid named John whose mom is a single mother, and 10 years ago she thought it was a great idea to put her ass out and twerk and like show tits and ass and always just presenting her body, right? And then 10 years after, she decided, okay, I want to, no, I need to like keep my head on straight, so she wants to delete all the pictures. But like, I got news for you, dude. The internet is written in permanent marker. Like, the internet isn't written in pencil. You can't erase it. Like everything's out there.
Hmm.
Like everything is out there that I've ever tweeted or said or whatever, be it good or bad, right? So I'm super mindful of a lot of stuff that I do now. But I think a lot of these women, they're not thinking 5 or 10 years ahead. They're just thinking right now, live in the moment. And I think that's going to have an effect on their future kids, because what happens, like I said, if that kid goes to school and there's another group of kids who just so happen, I don't know, maybe that the dad used to follow the mom on Instagram. He's like, oh, dang, that's so-and-so. Oh, son, I can show you some pictures. Screenshots, got some screenshots. And next thing you know, this kid's getting bullied at school
Wow.
because pictures of how his mom used to be 2 years ago, or even maybe she's still posting that stuff. And now
Right.
that kid's getting bullied in school. Like you might even see a rate of suicide in kids go up
Because of
because
how their parents posted.
because of their parents' actions, because they don't, they just don't know why, right? And they're embarrassed and they're ashamed, and they might run away. Like you might see like drug abuse go up. Like I said, they might be committing suicide or just acting out, getting violent. And it's like, well, what's wrong? Why are you acting like this? But naive mom would look at it as like, oh my God, and like she would just never know,
Wow.
And I think that's like a direction that we're heading, and like nobody's talking about it,
Hmm.
and it's just sad, right?
Yeah, I
Or or or
actually,
and then one more thing,
yeah,
or even the parents that are like doing photo shoots with their kids,
right.
dressing their kids up. Like I don't know about you, but like I don't like any woman ever telling me what to wear.
Yeah.
Right. And again, like as a kid, fine. Obviously, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, that's fine. But like, let the kid wear what he or she wants to wear. Like, let them wear what they want to wear.
Hmm.
Like, it should, and like, not every opportunity should be like a picturesque, perfect photo shoot. Like, if you want to get your phone out, take a couple pictures of your kid, like, that's cool. Right. But like, when you start putting your kids on on like blast like that, like what happens like when the kid just wants to finally just enjoy a moment and they're like, mom, like stop taking pictures.
Yeah. It's
Like what, like what's gonna happen?
it's getting to that. I mean, I feel like
Like I
basically
just think about this stuff sometimes, and yeah,
no, I love all those thoughts. I've thought about a lot of this stuff as well. That's why when we got into the conversation about this, I was like, wow, like I've never actually talked to someone super passionate about this topic, and you were just super passionate. And I was like, this is cool. I need to get him on here. Um, Especially with the topic of children being bullied, or like their friends potentially having pictures of their parents, and we are raising the next generation. And like what you're putting out on these platforms, like you said, it's going to be there. Like it's the internet, like it will stay there. Like no matter if you delete it, someone has it, someone
mhm.
does. So we need to be a lot more wise about what we're sharing on the internet and what we're posting, and yeah, all that. I guess, yeah, I mean, I've been in the boat of posting very provocative stuff at one point, very promiscuous stuff. And some of my content's still on there, like stuff that I literally cannot delete. And that kind of bothers me, because I'm just like, crap, like I'm totally not like this anymore, but it's out there for someone to view. And yeah, it I mean, where I'm at now, obviously, like I've forgiven myself for all that, but it's still something that anyone can get their hands on and just like take and use and all that stuff. So yeah, we've just got to be a lot more wise about what we're sharing online. Okay, so from you unfollowing all the women, all the bad women that you thought were bad at one point, even now, I'm sure you still do. What have the effects been since getting that out of your life?
I guess like the effects. I mean, it's honestly really tough because I can't say that there's been like one thing. Um, I know for a fact I haven't watched porn maybe in like 6 months.
That's awesome.
Um,
That's really good.
I think that's one thing, because a lot of times like how I would like go and get into porn would be like it would start from Instagram. That would be like the gateway. And it would start with like a chick who I would find extremely attractive. I'd start getting really lustful, and then I'd be like, all right, cool, new tab, right? Like, gotta go, like now, right? Like desires, act on them, done, right?
Wow.
So I haven't watched porn, which has been great. What else? It's kind of difficult with all the COVID stuff to really give this direct credit, but I would say like there was a website that I've been like wanting to build for. I've had the domain for a year, and I'm almost done building it, and it's almost ready for content to start being created on it. But like the actual website itself is like pretty much almost done.
Yeah,
So I've been going ham on that for like the last month. Um,
that's really awesome.
and I would also, I would say this, and this is more mental, and it's not something I could really gauge, but I have not objectified women like I used to. I think that's been the biggest thing,
I
to
love
be really like really look and assess with. Because look, I'll give you this right here, the story. Girl I went on a date with, I would ask her questions. This is the one girl I asked. I was like, hey, like, you ask a lot of questions.
it.
And I was just like, oh well, like you're not asking me questions about me, so I don't want to. And I'm not the type of dude to just like talk about myself. Like I'm not like that. So unless you ask me, I'm more than likely not just gonna blatantly be like, hey, so yeah, did you know that I build websites? Right? Like, like I'm not
Right,
gonna do
right.
that. Like, unless
Yeah,
you ask me what I'm into, right? Hey, did you know that I travel? Like, I'm just not gonna say it, right? Like, I just don't talk about myself like that.
right.
And so I would say like the positive effect was um, actually trying to get to know women and not just objectifying them and seeing like how many drinks we need before we can go back to your place or my place, and that's it.
Wow.
So not objectifying. That was a big one. And so for that chick right there, that was like, yeah, that was just, oh.
Well, I love it. I love that. That's really good. There you brought up porn and you brought up uh getting your website done. And you were not trying to give COVID credit for it or anything.
I
But
can't, no.
yeah, no, not at all. But
But yeah.
I just wanted to bring up the fact that I read this book and it was called Quitting Porn Will Make You Rich. And the reason for that is because all your energy is so focused on like getting off or like just depleting your energy that you don't have time to work on anything, or like you're
Mm.
lusting after the women that you follow, and then like you said, you go to the porn sites. And I just think it's fascinating that this book talks about as soon as you get rid of all your sexual lust and all that type of stuff, you can actually work on your projects, like get all this stuff out and get to work on your mission.
So
And
simple, huh? So simple.
yeah, so simple, so simple.
So yeah, the girl that I went on a date on, right? That said I was asking too many questions and she wasn't asking me any questions. I actually like I tend to do this thing where like I'll get quiet because I'm totally comfortable in silence. I'm good. Like I'm good,
Right.
right? Like Zen, Buddha master. Like I'm good in silence. And I just stay quiet and like not like necessarily looking at her, like just like awkwardly, like, I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
But I was looking around, just being casual, and I don't know, maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds passed by, and she hadn't said anything. And then she looks at me and she's just like, do you think I'm boring? And I felt, and I looked at her and I was like, no, because she kind of caught my attention. I was like, huh? She's like, well, you're not like saying anything. Like, do you think I'm boring? And in my mind, I could just, all I was thinking about was, you haven't asked me anything. And I don't think you're boring. I've been like trying to make an effort to get to know you. But apparently, and this is all in my head, but apparently you think that just being pretty is enough,
Yes.
you know? And at that point, I just kind of felt bad. And
Yeah.
then I was like, oh, no, no, I don't think you're boring. Why? Like, do you think you're boring?
That's really good.
Like,
I've I've thought this, and I don't know if there's like a statistic on this, but I know other people have said it as well. But the prettier a person, like the less they feel they have to do. Have you come to that like realization, or like
um, I think, look, I think everybody is capable of, I think because I've dated some really, really pretty women, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's more. They've always look. Pretty women, and again, I'm not a beautiful woman, right? I'm a man. But I hope you guys can see that.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of these pretty women, um, some of them used to be ugly duckling and then got really hot, right? But a lot of them were just always cute girls, and throughout grade school, middle school, and then high school, they started to come into their own, and then 17, 18, 19, 20, they really started to blossom, and then 21, they're like, boom, young woman. And then they started to get treated a certain way, and because they start getting treated a certain way, that becomes their paradigm, and that's the reality that they walk through. And
Mm-hmm.
so they're used to never having to do anything. And I think that's where it's like where they say like beauty is a curse, because a lot of these women probably do want to be taken seriously, but they can't. They're not taken seriously a lot of times because they're pretty, and people will look at them and judge them. That's why pretty women get judged the most. They get judged because it's like, oh, what do you know? You're pretty. Everything is handed to you, right?
Wow. Yeah.
But on the other side, there's a beautiful woman right there who like is never taken seriously, right? People aren't probably valuing her opinion, or she wants to be smart, but people are like, oh, look at her she looks so cute trying to be smart, right?
Mhm.
So there's also a lot of women out there who are being put down and not taken seriously just because they're pretty,
Wow. That's
right?
good.
And so I think that like everybody should be taken seriously, or not necessarily taken seriously, but be respected, right? Like
Great.
just to be respected.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts with them again, like, and tying it back in, like respecting yourselves. And I'm not saying that we're about to go to like ancient times where women need to be clothed up all the time. Like I'm not saying that. Like, but I'm just saying like, dude, like, look,
Mm-hmm.
if you're at the beach hanging out with your girlfriends and you're in a bikini, fine, take pictures. But if you're at home, like what?
Right. You don't need to.
Like,
Exactly.
like what?
My thing is when
What?
yeah, my thing is whenever I see a very pretty woman online, but she's flaunting way more than needs to be revealed, I just want to tell her how much she's worth and how she doesn't need to do this. But I feel like she's finding a lot of value in the attention, the likes, in the men, what women are telling her about herself, and all that. So, um, I mean, but it's the same with men as well in that department.
Totally.
Is they're looking to be fed in a place where they have a void, and
Oh
like
yeah.
like you stated, they need to sit with themselves.
Yeah, I mean, and if anybody wants to go see an example of that, go to my Instagram at Chris Alta and just go scroll down to the very bottom of my feed and just start from the bottom and work your way up. And you'll see that I used to be like that.
I like that.
Just and like a lot of people will probably delete the shit. I purposely leave it there so I can go back and be reminded of like where I came from. So I can
Hmm.
go back and be reminded of like how I used to be. I don't ever want to forget how I used to be so that I never go back.
Hmm.
So I keep all those shitty photos
Hmm.
of how cool I thought I was for posting a picture of a fucking debit card, right? Or like there was this picture that I deleted, but it's on my Facebook, and I posted this. I remember it was in Las Vegas in 2015. I went to this network marketing event because I used to do network marketing, and the dude that I was with at the time, my upline, right? We stopped in Vegas on the way back to Cali, and he was like, hey man, let's go stop over here. Let's use the restroom, eat some food. I'm like, I'm with it. And he's like, oh dude, look at this watch store. Here, let's go check out some watches. Dude, I have like $50 to my pocket, my name, bro. Right? Like, I have no business looking at all these watches and stuff like that. But or like at least going in the store to go look at everything. I was just like, dude, like, all right, whatever. He's like, yeah, hey, can I try this on? And I'm looking at him like, bro, like, yo, you don't got any money either. What are we trying these on for, right?
Right.
And then he tries it on. He's like, oh no, dude, he's like, I'm not gonna buy it. And I was like, oh, so is it like manifesting? Nah, like not even that. He's like, but it's just for Instagram. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, bro, like if you take a picture of this watch, bro, you'll get hella likes and then you'll get hella leads and then people will think you're balling and they'll sign up.
Ugh, such fakeness.
And I remember thinking that and being like, what? It's weird, like I felt like conflicted, super weird, right?
Right.
But then I felt like But then the curiosity kicked in, and that's all it takes is curiosity, right? This is how people get addicted to drugs or alcohol or porn. It's curiosity, right?
Mhm.
And I got curious. So hey, can I try on a watch? I really like that one. Yeah, bro, try that one. I was like $8,000, $9,000 watch. I get the watch, take a picture on it, post it in Vegas, chilling, right? Or whatever the caption was. And that was my most liked photo, mad DMs, people wanted to sign up.
Wow.
And I realized that, and people wanted to sign up. And then I was like, dude, this is just so fake.
Mhm.
And maybe a few years later, I took that picture off of Instagram, but I took a screenshot of it before I took it off. And then I went and posted it on my Facebook and wrote the story that I just told you. And I
That's
shared
good.
that
That's
so that people would know of like how deceptive the internet can be, and
yeah.
how a lot of people don't see that that's wrong,
Mhm.
because they try to play like innocent, like I didn't know. They try to be like, oh, but I didn't know I couldn't do that, or I didn't know it was wrong, right? And
It's out of integrity.
very exactly, like very well knowing that like your intention is to get people to follow you and think that you're something that you're really not. And
Right.
even though that's like not wrong by laws or anything like that, at least that I know of, it's just like on a human level, that's just wrong. It's very deceptive,
Mhm.
and it's not right, because then people go in and they invest in whatever it is, product or service that you're offering, and you don't even care if it's like a quality product or service. Otherwise, you'd spend more time working on the product or service and less time working on your image,
Yes. That's
which tells me that like you're not leading from the right intentions. All you give a fuck about is making money, and you don't actually care about the people that you're taking money from. You
mm,
just care about the end result, which is you, which means you're operating from a super selfish place. All you give a fuck is about yourself, and you don't care if you hurt people in your wake. Like you don't care. And I think that's like a big part of the society that we're living in right now. And so like I can't really rip on women because I'm not a woman, but I'll fucking rip on men. I'll rip on these dudes. I wouldn't even call them men. I'll rip on the con artists for sure all day. They're just a bunch of frauds. It's fake.
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
fake.
I know you've met a lot. I've met a lot
It's
here
fake, dude.
as well, and I'm just like, what are you
Yeah.
guys doing? But I feel like the people who like these photos as well, like you were saying, like you got more likes on it than any of your other posts. I feel like they literally like these posts because they want a different life than the one that they have. And they're comparing their life to this person's life, but really it's a fantasy world that's not really happening. And then they, like you're saying, they buy into this product, and then the product isn't worth at all what they actually are
Yeah.
selling.
At all. And the most important thing I can say to shed light, because I've gone through ups, I've gone through downs, right? Like I've made a bunch of money, I've blown a lot of money, right? I've traveled to some really great places around the world. And some of I'll put it to you like this. One of the most emptiest times of my life was July 2018. And I'm sitting on a balcony. I just got back from Russia at the World Cup. That was super fun. But I was in Budapest. I had an hour layover, or one day, a 24-hour layover in Budapest before I flew back to the States. And so I went to the baths and everything, the thermal baths, and I went around town. I had some dinner. I enjoyed myself, right? And then at night, I had an Airbnb right across the river, looking at the Hungarian Parliament, and it's like this beautiful. It just looks beautiful at night, illuminated and reflecting off the water. And I remember sitting there, and I'm listening to music, and I just remember like in that moment, I felt like insanely alone, like it just like this crazy feeling of sadness came over me, and I was just like, damn, like why do I feel like this? Like this sucks, right? And it wasn't until later that I realized it's because like in that moment, the only people that I wanted with me there were the people that I cared about the most, which is like my mom and my dad,
Wow.
right? And I just wanted my mom and my dad there, right? And so that told me that like that's where my value lies, is in my family, my parents. Not all like the traveling's dope. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, right? But I'm telling you, like unless you've like solo traveled, you wouldn't get it. Like you wouldn't understand it. And that's why people say like, oh, if you like, oh, I'd rather like, yeah, I'd rather cry in a Ferrari, dude. Like, hey, man, like, I'd rather cry in a Ferrari too if my parents were in it with me, like, you know.
Yeah.
But like, but I'd also rather cry in a fucking Toyota Camry as long as my parents are in it, right? Like, all that stuff doesn't matter, dude. Like, I can't tell you the difference between this iPhone 11 or whatever and the iPhone 5. Like, I just,
Mm-hmm.
for me, I've just always had an iPhone, and sometimes they're faster and sometimes the cameras are better. But like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get the fulfillment from the stuff. You don't get the fulfillment from the money hitting your bank account. I just had a bunch of money hit my bank account last night, and I'm not like, it's just it doesn't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be something bigger that you're working towards.
For sure. Well,
Yeah.
this shows where your heart is, and your heart is with family. And yeah, and that's really beautiful, because you are wanting a family, you're wanting a wife, you're wanting to raise a family with the family that you already have, which is really awesome. And yeah, I mean, you want to get to where you're going, your successes, with your family, not being alone. So
Yeah, pretty much with the people that you care about, the relationships that you
exactly.
build. That's the most important thing. But again, I had to go through my 20s focused, fixated on other shit to realize what was really important. So I'm really glad I didn't get all the stuff that I wanted
Back then,
back then. I'm really glad I didn't get it.
because you probably would have messed it all up or something.
Either messed it up or placed more value on that than my family.
Right.
And nah, dude, like, no way.
So good. I really love that you were just able to share all of this. Is there anything else that you want to like, uh, put some light on before I end this?
Mm, I think it's probably appropriate just to talk about what's happening right now with life and how the earth and just how everything's kind of come to a standstill.
Let's go.
And I've even seen certain accounts where the women aren't posting pictures on the poolside of them traveling now, so they're just posting the naked photos or half naked photos like in the apartment,
Right.
right?
Okay. Because
And
because
because
of
they can't go, they're isolated, right? Because of COVID, right?
okay.
Um, and I think that's just really telling of like where we are in this state, and a lot more dudes. And I'll just give you an example. A lot of dudes who are like out here like supposedly living the life, all of a sudden now that like their income streams are cut off, like the amount of emails I'm getting now for marketing messages,
Oh
it's
yeah.
insane. And
Mm.
I stay subscribed to their email list because I want to see the frequency of which they're sending out marketing campaigns to see like who is actually okay. Because like if you're good, like you're good. And email is a great way to market and make money. But like some of these dudes are like panicking and they're sending 2, 3, 4 emails a day type stuff, trying to get my
Wow.
attention to my product. Right.
That's so fascinating.
And it's very telling of like, yo, you never had it and you're freaking out.
Yeah.
I even saw one guy who said he owned his house, doesn't actually own the house, and now on Zillow the house is for rent. And he said he bought the house 2 years ago in 2018 in December, and the house was last sold in 2008.
Whoa.
So a lot of just exposing, right?
Yeah.
And you can just tell like, and people are hurting, and you don't ever want to see people hurt. Um, but I think right now is a great time, like for anybody watching this, to just like sit with yourself, reflect. Don't get stuck in your head, but like take the time to reflect and like assess like who you've been, and then like where you're at, and then like where you want to be, and then like what you're willing to do to get to where you want to be, right? Because I saw this another quote, but I saw this other quote, and it said something along the lines of, everybody wants to get to the peak, but not everybody's willing to put their head down and like walk the journey, right? Like, and you just got to ask yourself, like, how are you willing, because most people aren't willing to walk for 30 years to only get a few moments at the summit. Like everybody wants to pretend like they're at the summit without even putting their fucking shoes on. And it's like really assess like where you are and where you want to be, and just who you've been as a person, and develop new habits and let go of old habits, like whether that's drinking or smoking or partying or porn or even something, and again, something as simple as this, and this is for the dudes, something as simple as just unfollowing all these like bad women. Bro, I know she's bad, bro. Like, I know she's fine. Trust me. Like, I've seen them. I've liked them. I've lusted after them. Even slid in a few DMs. Like, bro, you're draining your energy, bro. And that energy can be directed towards your passion projects, towards some, it can even just be directed towards exercising. Like, but bro, like, you gotta focus on you. Like, whoever is supposed to show up in your life is gonna show up in your life, bro. Like, she'll be there, and you'll be ready when she shows up, bro. If you want to get married, and if you don't want to get married, that's cool too, bro. The opportunity that you're looking for will show up. The hard work will pay off. But you gotta stop. That, just start with that. Like, start with that. And for like the women, as a man, I can just tell you straight up that, like, setting thirst traps is also setting a really shitty example for women everywhere.
Yes.
So you're setting not only traps, but you're also setting yourself up for long-term failure, emotional pain, emotional emptiness, like all that. Like, that's what you're setting yourself up for.
Ooh.
And J. Cole even said it best in his song "Love Yours." He's like, he talks to the dude, and he's like, "There's always about to be a bitch that's better than yours, but you never be happy until you love yours." It goes the same thing for women. Like, you are only going to be the baddest chick on the block for so long. I guarantee you there's another girl out there who's following your example who's going to try to do the same thing. And we'll also see a lot of women, some women start to speak up on this, like some of like the top-notch bad women. You're going to see some breakdowns. You're going to see some women start to come out from the shadows and be like, dude, like, I can't be leading an example like this, because like there's 18, 19-year-old girls that are following, or 15, 16-year-old girls that are following me, and now they're posting this stuff.
Yep.
And now I'm pregnant, and now I'm about to have a daughter, and like, man, damn, like, now I get it.
That just gave me shivers.
So,
it's so
yeah, I think just take this time to self-reflect and really just assess, like, just everything I just said.
So good. I so appreciate you for coming on and sharing all of this. If anybody has comments, questions, or anything, where can they find you?
You can find me at Chris Alta. That's my Instagram. That's usually where I hang out. Yeah, that's and on Twitter too, Chris Alta.
On Twitter. All right. I'll link all your social media platforms below. And I pray that this has hit a spot and shined some light on your life, and you take time to reflect, like Chris has shared, on where you want to be and being very intentional about the things that you post online. So have a blessed rest of your day.